everybody. My name is Sam.
My name is Ryan.
And we broke up.
In 2018.
In 2018.
Yeah. But it's true, we did. I mean, spoiler alert, we also got back together in 2019.
So welcome to the very first episode of How to Relationship. Today we are talking about breaking up.
Dun-dun.
Ta-da. This is something that you guys did request in the comments of our little intro video, and also we have experience with.
Yeah.
So figured may as well start off the series strong, talking about breakups.
A little bit of context. Yeah, I mean, we did break up, and predominantly, you know, there were sort of two factors that are sort of the same factor and also a little bit different. I was going to New York to work on a I'm sorry, it's just so hard to talk about.
Stop!
I was going to New York to work on a long Broadway contract, and I felt sort of two things simultaneously. One, I genuinely thought I was going to end up moving to New York, and two, I didn't want to do long distance.
And yeah, you thought not just for the contract, but you thought you were going to stay there.
I thought, yes, like not just go there for, you know, a year, but like move there permanently. I have been in multiple long distance relationships. I didn't want to do that. As I think happens with a lot of people, sometimes you reach an impasse in relationships where it unfortunately only takes one person to break up a relationship, and
yeah,
sometimes one person is just like, I foresee the way that events are going to unfold, and I don't want to do that.
And that's the thing that's really interesting, sucky, I don't know, about breakups, is at one point you realize that all it takes is one person to decide that they want to break up. And being on the other end of that is really hard, because it is someone that, you know, you love, but you, I would assume, trust their judgment as well. So, you know, it's just kind of one of those things of like, yeah, this is the, I think, risk of love is just, you know, putting...
It can end at any time.
Yeah, putting that, like, faith and trust in a relationship, and, like, it can end at any time.
Well, and also, by the way, I mean, like, it doesn't matter whether or not you trusted my judgment.
Yeah, no, like, we would have been broken, like, the breakup happened,
that was the
whether I
decision
trusted
I made
it
anyway.
or not.
And frankly, like, my judgment, I mean, I think it all worked out pretty well for us, but my judgment was wrong. We ended up getting back together.
Well, and yeah, you didn't end up living there.
Right. The predominant factor was long distance.
Yeah, under the guise of you, like, actually living in New York.
Yeah. Since breaking up and then getting back together, we've actually had to deal with long distance twice after that.
Yeah.
And so that's a topic that we can cover in a later video. If you want us to, let us know down below in those sweet little comments.
In the little comment section down there.
But that's a tangential point to this video. This video is all about the breaking up of it all. So we're going to talk about breaking up, we're going to talk about getting over a breakup, we're going to talk about potentially getting back together if that's in the cards, because that's what happened with us, so that's why we feel that we can talk about that. But before we go into all that, I just want to talk about not even like breaking up, being broken up with, dealing with a breakup, but just what breaking up is conceptually. The advice that I constantly got was like, fight for it. Exhaust every option. Like, if you break up, but make sure that you don't leave anything on the table. Like, really fight for the relationship. I think that's really bad advice, if I'm completely honest. Obviously, if the relationship is really special and means a lot to you, of course, fight for it. That's how things work. But I just think it's sort of irresponsible to like level this blanket statement of always fight for the relationship, always stay in it as long as you can.
Sure.
Because often people stay in relationships past their relationship's natural expiration date. And not only does that prolong the inevitable, but those last couple months, or sometimes for people years, of staying in a relationship that they know somewhere in their subconscious they shouldn't be in are truly immiserating. I wouldn't wish that on my worst enemy. And so a point that I just want to make is breaking up is always an option and always a viable outcome. That doesn't mean that you should be lording the potential of breaking up over your partner, because that's really manipulative and crazy. But like, yes, I think that one of the reasons that our relationship at least is really healthy is because we aren't, I mean, I don't think of our relationship in terms of like the future. I think of our relationship in terms of that was a callback to an earlier video when Sam literally called me her husband. Yes, you did. I don't think of the relationship as the future, as what's going to happen later, as we're going to be together forever. I think of it as right now. Right now it's going well. Right now this is how, we operate. We understand that relationships can end. Obviously we do. We have ended ours before.
Yeah. And it's interesting because, I'm so glad you made that point, because in hindsight, it almost seems like breaking up for us was like strategy. It's interesting that in the grand scheme of things, sometimes there are moments where breaking up is the right option, and not just right like the right thing to do, but like just the best outcome for every scenario.
Yeah.
Even potentially getting back together.
Even for the overall health of the relationship
exactly.
itself. Yeah. So, let's take this sort of point by point. First and foremost, maybe you're in a relationship that you don't want to be in and you're dreading having this conversation. How do I actually break up with someone? Here's the situation, in my opinion. You will never have a breakup that doesn't hurt. You will never have a breakup that's going to go well. You'll never have a breakup where you walk away from it being like, everything about that worked out, and I have no feelings of resentment at all, and we're just going to be great friends moving. It's always going to suck. Rip the Band-Aid off. If you feel like you want to break up with someone, those feelings are a map to you. If you're in a relationship that's working, that thought literally never crosses your mind.
Yeah, so it's probably a sign.
So just do it. I'm kind of wondering if maybe you're feeling, don't try to trick them into it. Don't try to make them break up with you by treating them like crap for 6 months and just hoping that they'll break up. That's cowardice.
No.
These are my reasons. This is why I need to do it, and this is what's happening. It's not a question. It's a period.
And also, just to emphasize on that point, don't try to make it, like you were saying, don't try and make it feel like it's mutual. If you are the one that is breaking up with the other person, prepare your reasons and why, and make it clear that you are breaking up with them. If there's any sort of ambiguity or but don't you feel the same way too, on the receiving end of that could feel a little shocking or just what? No. Or manipulative.
Yeah.
So it's don't try and make it a mutual thing. Just make your points, accept that it's gonna be a sucky conversation, and then just try and move on from there. So now you've been broken up with. What now?
Nice segue.
Thanks. There are a lot of different ways you can deal with a breakup. For me, and one that I heavily advise, is talking to your friends. I know that the instinct sometimes is to curl up in your bed and just go inwards, which I think is important for a period of time to really assess how you are feeling about the situation. And sometimes you just need ugly cry days.
Yeah.
And the cliche, eat a bunch of ice cream, go for it, indulge. But then make sure you are processing this externally as well.
Yeah, and I would even say not but then. I would say and also.
Yeah, that's true.
It's a balance, and this isn't something that we came up with. This is science. Grief does not happen in order. It happens randomly. Acceptance, denial, depression, bargaining, anger.
Yeah.
These are not steps in a sequence. They happen randomly at any time, in any order, any amount of times. So it's not going to be cut and dry, black and white. It's not going to be a month of crying, and then a month of talking to your friends, and then a month. And you might think you're over them, and then 6 months later be hit in the feels, and all of a sudden you're back into it. It's a lot more complicated than just follow these steps.
Exactly. And my one piece of advice with talking to your friends about a breakup is know who to talk to. Because I feel we all have our various types of friends in our lives. If you want the mama bear friend who's gonna tell you that you don't need him, you're gonna be totally fine, like that energy, then go to that person. If you need the friend who's just gonna want to watch rom-coms with you and ask you about your feelings and do face masks, go to that friend. But whatever friend you go to, if you ever feel like you are not hearing what you need in that moment, or maybe it's unsolicited advice, make sure you feel comfortable enough to go, hey, I know that this is coming out of love for me right now, but this is not what I need.
What it comes down to for me is time. And that if you are like in the middle of a breakup right now, you're probably rolling your eyes. Because I've been there and everyone says, oh, time heals everything, take your time. And I'm like, I want to feel better now. But you're not going to. Like, it is going to suck. What a mental health professional will tell you about depression or grief or anxiety or any of those things is acceptance is the first step. Accept that this is going to suck for a while and let it. Because if you let yourself feel it and if you let it suck, I promise you, and again, this is science, this isn't just me talking, it will suck for less time. If you try to fight it, it will suck for longer.
Yeah.
It's the devil's snare from Harry Potter. It's the best metaphor for grief and depression. The other advice that I hear constantly and that I have heard and that I have followed and wish that I didn't, the best way to get over someone is to get under somebody else. Terrible advice. Terrible advice. Rebounding does not work. It's a dopamine hit. It'll make you feel good for 5 minutes, and it'll make you feel terrible for 5 months. And to my point about, like, getting over someone by getting under someone else and the dopamine hit, I think that's a really good transition to talk about, and I hate that we have to talk about this, but it's 2021, so we have to. The role that social media plays
Oh boy.
in breakups.
Yeah, social media is just a complex place anyways.
Right.
Throw a breakup in there and it's just the Wild West. Someone actually commented on a previous video that they were wondering how I dealt with a breakup, considering a lot of my followers knew that I was in a relationship and really liked the relationship. And
Yeah, I've never been through anything like that before.
yeah, you probably can't relate, so I'm gonna talk about this point. And it's actually interesting though, because people didn't really care.
Well, people didn't really know.
People didn't really know.
We didn't.
I didn't treat social media like a diary, and like
Right. Nor did I have my publicist call you and say you have to make a statement about this breakup.
No. That social media is not the place for that, and also my followers don't like have the right to that information.
Amen.
Like, I love my followers.
Yeah.
But they
not
don't,
you guys. You guys are cool.
you don't deserve to know everything going on in my personal life because you followed me on Instagram. So
You don't deserve to know everything in my personal life if you're my friend.
Yeah, that's
You
true.
don't deserve information about me. I give it to you willingly if that's a choice I make.
Exactly.
And that's the case whether I'm famous or I'm not famous, whether it's on Instagram or in person, whether I'm going through a breakup or whether I'm going through anything else. You are not entitled to any information about my life. I give it to you if I want to.
Yeah.
Dad.
I just kept continuing to post as normal. Every now and then, some people would slide in the DMs and go like, hey, where's Ryan? But it wasn't that overwhelming. So I think I kind of avoided the big, like, flood of comments asking what happened and, like, speculation and stuff.
Social media is never going to help you.
Yeah.
Like, it is absolutely a tool to connect with people. It's absolutely a tool to, sell your business, sell your brand, whatever. There are great things about social media. We talk about it all the time on this channel. But social media follows the same neurological reward circuitry as drinking or doing drugs. There's an impulse, there's a response, and there's a reward. In the same way that if you are going through a terrible breakup, the worst thing someone could do is buy you a case of tequila or start you on heroin.
Yeah.
One of the worst things you can do if you are going through a bad breakup is inundate yourself with social media. Because it will either make you feel worse, which will drive you down, or it will make you feel better, which will be only supplemented on a false high, and then the crash will leave you worse than where you started. So whether you go on social media to feel good or whether you go on social media to say, stalk your ex, you will be left feeling worse.
Exactly. And like my golden rule for social media in general is like, if you're about to post something and you feel like you're posting it for anyone other than yourself, don't do it.
Yeah.
And that especially goes with breakups.
So obviously this is a very complicated issue and we're not going to be able to like give you the be-all end-all perfect manual to a breakup on a 20-minute video or on a 20-hour video, because the fact of the matter is the perfect manual to the perfect breakup has never existed and never will. So we're not going to be able to cover every single nuanced avenue of this, but we're happy to talk about it more if this is something you guys are responding to. Again, like, always make sure you're leaving comments below, you guys. Not only does it drive our engagement through the roof, but it's genuinely where we go to make sure that our content is serving our audience the best.
Yeah.
I think sort of the last place to leave this video, just because it's interesting and pertains to us specifically, is that weird sort of gray area of like, but what if we do get back together?
And I honestly think that is something that, for us, it just ended up working out that way. Like, sometimes you break up for a specific reason, and then all of the factors that led to that reason change. And then I think you kind of sometimes come to another crossroads where it's like, oh, the reasons we broke up are no longer applicable, and everything else is great, so do you want to get back together? And that's what happened for us. And so sometimes it really does just work out that way, and sometimes I believe it works out that way because you broke up.
I think whether you're breaking up with someone, whether you're getting back together with someone, or whether you're in a relationship with someone that's been going strong for 5 years, one of the main pillars of successful relationships, romantically and otherwise, is honesty. We broke up in July, started talking again in August, realized we were still very much in love with each other in October, but didn't get back together until May. So there's a lot of time, space, and gray in all of that, and we would love to tell you all about it, but we're not going to because it's none of your business. But what I'm getting at is we re-entered each other's lives with honesty.
Yes.
We navigated our feelings with honesty, and we navigated getting back together with honesty. In the same way that if one of us was feeling some type of way and the other one wasn't, we would have had to navigate that with honesty. You don't get any further any faster by playing pretend or by saying what you think you need to say. Say what you want to say. Say what you actually feel, because it's more painful and it's more vulnerable, but it gets the job done faster and it takes better care of you. Because I've been told this many times, but Samantha is the only person I've ever gotten back together with after having broken up. But every time I break up with someone and I'm like, oh my God, I can't handle this, the people in my life will be like, listen, anything can happen. If you two are meant to be together, you'll find a way back to each other. And that's the case with everyone and with everything. If it's meant to be, it's meant to be, and it will happen. That is not something to subsidize all of your hope on. And to, like, if you spend 6 months after the breakup just waiting for the phone to call, it's going to be immiserating. And I would say neither of us did that. We both very much, like, got on with our lives.
Yeah, we both accepted that we had broken up. And then took it from there, I think. You know, went on our own paths, and eventually our paths of being broken up converged again.
I think getting back together with an ex is always an option.
Yeah.
And is always not an option. You have to be comfortable existing in that gray space, because that's what romantic relationships are. Like, you are never 100% perfect. You are never 100% broken. You are never 100% assured. You are never 100% in doubt. Like, it's always gray. It's always a toss-up. And I think that the best way to navigate the breakups, the getting back togethers, the being togethers, and the everything in between is being really honest with yourself and with your partner. And that, like I said before, that communication can be very painful because it's very vulnerable and you can feel very exposed. But I would argue, in the long run, you will get what you want faster that way.
Yeah. I agree. What a beautiful little moral of the story. Well,
good night.
Well, guys, thank you so much for watching. Hopefully you found some really helpful advice to either get you through what you are going through right now, or to take with you for future experiences, or to help you heal from past.
No, help you heal from past.
Is that how I sounded?
Yeah. This video will be here forever. So you know what? Like, if you go through a really bad breakup in 2 years, check back in with us, Dad. Our advice is like fine wine. It gets better the longer it's on the shelf. As always, be sure to like and subscribe.
I don't know what I was expecting, but it wasn't that. What he said.
Are you not a Sam and Ryan fan? Do you not watch this channel? What do you mean? It's the end of the video and you didn't like and subscribe? Boys? That's so weird, Ryan. What are you doing?
And also, be sure to comment other topics for the How to Relationship series that you guys want to see in the future. And
yes,
we will...
please do, because we really, really don't want to just give unsolicited advice about like we only want to do this if you want us to do this. Like, we don't want to be here and be like, let us tell you how to do this, even though literally no one
We're
asked.
not perfect. No one is.
Right, and nor are we the type to just like shove ourselves down your throats.
No.
Unless that's what you want.
Ryan, thanks for watching. Bye, everybody.